Thank you so much, Simon, for having me in beautiful Sushi Room here today.
It's my pleasure.
It was a year ago. You gave me your time and had coffee with me and sparked this journey, so I really appreciate your time.
That's fine.
Take me back to the Rockley markets. You were 14 years old selling corn at the cob.
Yeah.
What inspired that?
It was a family business, was the flea market thing. So my father started them years ago, and I thought at 14 I'm going to set up a stall selling corn on the cob. I must have seen it somewhere. I can't remember why I thought about it, but it was literally corn on the cob boiled with butter, salt and pepper. And I thought I was great. I had the chef hats on, the whole lot. But and you know what though? It was still the best training that I think I've ever done, because I was dealing with thousands of customers a day. I was only selling one item, which was quite easy. And by the end of the day, I was making more money than people were all week just selling corn on the cob at the market. So I sort of, I think I found my love for being a business owner in hospitality, selling corn on the cob at the markets.
And how long did you do that for?
Ages, because I needed the money. It's like that money each week coming in. It was just one day a week too, which was quite amazing. So, I'll say the number. It was about $1,000 in a morning
for a 14-year-old.
For a 14-year-old back then.
Then.
So,
wow.
So it was quite. The money was enticing, but the worst part is we'd go to the pub straight afterwards, or when I got a bit older, and the money would be gone by the end of the afternoon, But anyway, it was good fun, and it was a good learning curve, and it did. It set me up for a small business, So.
Yeah, amazing. And you had 3 cafes after that before stepping into the restaurant game. Can you tell me about that and the lessons that you learned?
First one was Three Beans in Broadbeach, and it was when Surf Parade, if anyone can remember, Surf Parade was a beautiful street there in the middle of Broadbeach, and it was when it was pumping, and we took a little cafe that was sort of, going broke, and I think we paid about $100,000 for it. It was me and my brother Jason.
And how old were you at this time?
I think 19.
Wow.
Something like that, 18, 19. And we bought it for about $100,000, and a year later, it feels like we were there for a long time, because I still have memories of the regulars, and we're still friends with people, but we sold it for about $500,000 a year later. So it just went sort of bang, bang. And then I went and opened up Little Beans and Piccolo after that, and just sort of kept rolling into the cafes and kept selling them to roll that into Helenika. Well, ultimately it was Helenika. So.
And did you have the same kind of success with the other 2?
Yeah, they all, I've been pretty lucky. I've had a good run,
And the lessons from cafe turning into restaurants, what's some tips that you have in regards to that?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things you could say, but I would say to people, everyone says, if you want to start a business, just have a crack, just do it. Well, that's sort of true, but sort of not, because you can have a crack and totally fuck it up. It's like, you got to have an idea, you got to have an understanding, and passion's important, because that's what I've always had. I've always had the passion and self-taught, but just to open something for the sake of opening, I mean, with cafes, I reckon there's going to be one cafe per person soon. Like, fuck, they're everywhere. Yeah. Like, everyone's, and it just cannibalizes each other. No one really does well then.
Yeah.
It brings the level down for everybody. And, so I would just say to people, it was a great learning thing for me. I continued, but it was more at that time for me, it was more the businessy stuff that I enjoyed, building that up and selling it and opening up another one. And then I sort of found out that, oh my God, my love of food while doing that was stronger than I thought. And that's why from then, everything's been food related for me. Food first, So actually I don't even drink coffee anymore. So,
wow.
So it's all food related.
Helenika was next, and that felt like an instant success. Was that, or what was the key turning moment that you felt that took off?
Well, Nobby's on the Gold Coast really is just a little seaside suburb that people probably heard of now because of Helenika and things, but at the time, Helenika was a methadone clinic. So it was just a shitty sort of building. But I had a dream. My godfather in Melbourne had a Greek restaurant, and I used to love being a kid, hanging out at his venue and just sort of standing up in the kitchen. I'm talking when I was like 5, 6 years old sort of thing. Never realised I was going to be in it, but I just enjoyed it. I went through a few years of sort of after the coffee shops, I was travelling a bit, trying to work out what to do. I actually thought that I wanted to go into real estate for a bit, and I realised I don't give a fuck about real estate. And I was going home looking at cookbooks, not the real estate stuff. So, and I think because of my European background, I think I had a bit more of a knack for food back then, before that sort of real boom of everybody loving food, And I knew I knew Greek food. I knew what I wanted to do, and I didn't want to take any shortcuts. I didn't want to compromise at all. So, I mean, for example, we didn't even have tomato sauce in the restaurant on purpose because I knew if we had it, then if a customer asked for it, we'd give it to them.
Yeah.
Now, it's not so big a deal, but back then you had to be, being on the Gold Coast, you know, we had an inferiority complex to every other state, you know, being in Queensland and especially on the Gold Coast. And so we had to really push and push the boundaries so far that people from Melbourne and Sydney go, oh shit, you know. I used to laugh all the time. People from Melbourne come in and they go, oh, this could work in Melbourne. And I go, oh really? Which one's better than this in Melbourne? I'd give them a bit of smart ass, but I just had to. I couldn't compromise on quality ever because it was so important to have that real strength there and that foundation to set it up for the long success. And Helenika's now 16 years old, so
amazing. And you were one of the first restaurants to introduce share style dining.
Yeah, share. Well, I mean, when we first opened, share food, you couldn't get share food apart from a Chinese restaurant or whatever. So I'd actually run around to the tables and take orders and say, the food's going to come to the middle. Just imagine you're at a Chinese restaurant and just share it. Because, you know, for lack of a better word, white Australia, that they were saying, no, that's my entree, that's my main. And I'm like, but mate, it's a 1.5 kilo leg of lamb. You can't eat that, please. So anyway, and now I think you'll find, like everybody will know, that share food is sort of, you can't get entrees and mains anymore.
Exactly.
Everything's shared, you know. So, and we're only talking 15 years ago that people really didn't know what it was, or they didn't know how to. I could see them. We put the tongs in the middle of the table and the dish, and no one would touch it for. You know, it was sort of awkward, but we, we really wanted to foster that thing of sharing, and it worked. I think, you know, the one lucky thing about having the cafes on the coast and having a bit of a reputation is people trusted me. And I think trust is a really important thing. You know, I always say that in a lot of my venues, if the customer doesn't love it, it's not the end of the world, because when they have guests in town or whatever, they need to trust something, they end up sort of at one of my venues, and that's really important to me, you know.
And I think, you know, your venues do talk for themselves in that regard. Like, I know I feel that way. If anyone's visiting from interstate, it's SK, Sushi Room, any of your venues. Helenika is 16 years old now, correct? And you've gone from being at the Gold Coast to now at the Calile.
Yeah.
How did it feel moving here, opening SK and Sushi Room? Was that all planned at one time? How did you deal with that stress?
Yeah.
Was it stressful?
Yeah, my whole life's been stressful. If you're in hospitality, you just know that you live with stress, and that's just the way it is. No, I got asked to come to Brisbane a lot of times, and I just couldn't find, either the location wasn't great, or the landlord wasn't great, or the spot wasn't perfect, or whatever. So I sort of said no, and then Greer Giddo's actually rang me from Chester's and said, come and have a look at the Calile. And I went, oh, I've had enough looking in Brisbane, it's not going to happen. She goes, just come. And I met the landlords, and I'm telling you, within 5 minutes, we've basically done the deal. Amazing. They have the same passion that I have. They don't care about money like I don't. It was all passion. It's all what they wanted to build to get the right outcome, and they wanted the right person in there. And we clicked, and we opened Hellenika. And then from that success, the SK site, which everybody would give their whatever for, and now no one wanted it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, please don't give it to anyone. I've got an idea for it. And then we turned it into SK, which is, you know, obviously my sort of premium dining restaurant now. And then rolled it into Sushi Room after that, because of the relationship with the guys. That the landlords are so important. People don't understand that, you know, I could be having a little argument with my landlords in the office about something small, right? So I'll go into their office, and it's an open door policy, so we just chat all day. And if there's a little argument or discrepancy about something, we both sort of go, oh, that's fair enough. Yeah, you're right, or you're right, and we just do it, and it just works. I don't know. There's no egos there, and it's a really nice way to work. You know, especially in hospitality, we have our ups and downs.
Yeah.
During COVID, I'll give you an example. I went into their office and I said, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. Like, literally, I don't know what we're going to do. And one of the brothers, Cal, said to me, you know what, Simon? We know how important you are to the hotel. This won't last forever. Pay me rent when you can afford it. And I just went, fuck, like, didn't even question it. You know, they just come straight out with it. And you just don't get that, you know. So And that's reciprocal. You know, if they ever need anything, I'm there.
That's amazing. You're so lucky. You've always said that word of mouth is the best marketing tool. Can you explain that to me, especially in the modern day world of social media?
Yeah, I think social media is good because it sort of shine a light on things, but it's not the be all and end all. It doesn't matter if you go to a venue and you don't like it, you are going to tell everybody. And you know, in some cases, let's talk about social media. If I go to a venue and people know that I've been there and I don't post about it or I don't, they go, hey, what was wrong with it? You know?
Yeah.
So there's social does matter, but the word of mouth crosses over with social. And if you don't like something, you tell your family or your friends on the phone, hey, we're coming up from Melbourne, where do you want to go? Well, I had a shit meal there, or let's not go there. That waiter was a fucking idiot. You know, you just, all this shit that I hear all day, every day. And so word of mouth's really important. It's still the most important by a long, long way. It's like daylight second, you know what I mean? It's a long way away. Word of mouth is everything, and I don't think it'll ever change. I don't. Because it's word of mouth is basically a customer telling their friends how you made them feel. And how you make them feel is more important than anything in the venue.
Exactly. Speaking of social media, I'm a big fan of your oyster eating and foodie videos, and I think a lot of followers love it too. Tell us the messaging that you're trying to get when you share that story.
Oh, the oyster thing, look, I enjoy doing a little bit of social media. I'm not massive in it, but and I think because I don't use it for advertising as such, I just sort of put up my venues and what I'm doing. I enjoy it, but if I had to do it, then I wouldn't do it. I'd just give it up because it'd be too much pressure to try and get the right shot or whatever. I'm a bit loose with it and I just roll with it. But
You're natural here today for the right shot.
Yeah, thanks. But with the oysters specifically, well, I love oysters for starters, and they do change literally every single day. You know, Australians, we all want to eat oysters in summer and prawns and whatever, and actually the worst time of year to eat seafood in Australia. So, you know, I just tried to let people know that in winter those sorts of things were at their peak, you know. And that's how it started. I just sort of do it, but I haven't done it for a little while. I have to get back on.
You need to bring it back. We want to see that. It always makes you end up going, oh, we need to go there for a meal. Your venues are known for exceptional service and you always go over and beyond. How do you execute that across so many venues?
Yes, well, service and hospitality are two different things. So we distinguish between the two. Service is, did the glass get put in the right spot? Was your booking made correctly? Other menus, did the staff give the menus on time, this sort of thing. But hospitality is different. Hospitality comes from here, and you can fake it to a point, but you can't really fake it over a long period of time. So to give you an example, one of my tables the other day, they were having a great time. They had all the right service, right? But the hospitality kicked in when one of our staff, Nico, overheard the table say their favourite ice cream is from Messina, and it's this ice cream, it was their birthday. So he ran across the road, bought a tub of ice cream, brought it back and gave it to them. So that's hospitality, and my staff are all able to do that. I always say to my team, if you're going to fuck up, make it a big fuck up. I don't care. Have a crack and try and make that customer happy, because they'll remember it forever. Why wouldn't you remember that forever, you know? And even if you didn't love the restaurant, you'd go, you know what, they made a real effort. They really tried. So that's my culture all the way through. And my staff know that, they feel it, we train it. It's not just something we say, we train it. We have a making memories thing that highlights the staff members that have done it. And I think that's a really important way to let people know. You know, when I was a small team, it was just me saying, yeah, good on you, Jacko, you know, well done. Let's have a beer after work, that's great. But now with bigger teams, I think we've got 350 staff just here at this hotel. So you have to put the structures in place, and that's why we teach it. We try and teach as much as we can. Be open and free. If you don't want to be open, if you're not showing abundance in hospitality, you might as well go do something else, because that's what our industry is. Is
there a tip that you have for hiring the right person that have the hospitality side of things?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a tough one, you know, and times have changed. I don't want to be that guy that says that, but times have changed. I mean, I've had staff now, you know, you tell them what they're doing wrong and they think that's abuse. So, you know, the times, everything's changed. So you've got to be all careful with everything you do and whatever. But the hiring process is the same. You get them in. For our senior guys, we've got a couple of tests that we put them through that we had from a psychologist that did it for us and what have you. So the name, I can't remember the name of the test actually at the moment, but it's hard. I'll tell you, there's no, I think basically if you believe inherently people are good and give them the chance, I think they'll normally want to prove that to you. Yeah. People want to be good people. Yeah. So the teams want to do the right thing. But again, it's such a big team that I've got and will continue to grow. So I always say to the staff too, when I go into the briefings or whatever, I say, I can't leave, I own this place. But if you don't like it here, you can go. There's plenty of jobs in hospitality. You'll get a job tomorrow. If you're not happy being here at work, just go get another job. That's not on me, that's on them then.
Yeah.
And I think that triggers something in them and they go, yeah, right, actually, I should just enjoy it. I'm here.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my theory
amazing.
on it.
And it's such a beautiful to work, so everyone actually should be able to be so proud serving what you serve, and it makes the job way easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
It typically takes 18 months to 3 years for a restaurant to break even, and a lot of businesses don't even survive that period. Sushi Room took 2 years to break even, is that correct?
Yep, 2 years, yep.
How did you survive that, and what's your tips for anyone else kind of going through that teething stages?
Well, with Sushi Room, for example, I learned, the truth is Helenika and SK went bang straight away, made money from day one, and then it was just trying to refine, right? But Sushi Room, the restaurant that I probably eat the most at, to be honest with you, it took 2 years just to break even. And now it's only making a little bit, we are expanding into the shop next door, which is a good sign, means the customers want it and it's being grown. But the reason why it's grown is, again, no cutting corners ever. So I could have made it busier by changing the menu, putting different things on here, or making it cheaper, say, more accessible. But it shouldn't be. Sushi Room's an elevated, beautiful, thoughtful restaurant, and it needs to stay that way. So I had to write it out. And we wrote it out to the point where, last year we were the premium. We got asked out of the whole of Australia to be the premium on-court dining destination for the Australian Open on the centre court of Rod Laver Arena, where the players walk through the tunnel. So because of our commitment and because of my fucking, I just wouldn't break for anybody. It finally caught on, and people went, oh right, I enjoyed it. Oh, actually, it was really good, and then we built, and then it hit that point where now it's tipped over into making money and another little successful business for us. But it's hard if you don't have the money or the commitment to be able to do that. I don't know what you do, because if you change too much, if you chop and change every day, the customers aren't dumb. They can see that and they can feel it. And I always say a customer needs to feel like they're not doing the favour to the restaurant by being there. We get a lot of, we get a lot of celebrities come in and big names, and that's because they feel like they're not doing us a favour. The restaurant's big enough, I don't mean big enough in size, but big enough and strong enough to handle their personality, if that makes sense.
Yes.
A celebrity comes in, sits in the room, they know they're not going to get harassed. They know the waiters are going to look after them and not be overawed and try and take photos and this sorts of things. So all my venues are like that, but especially Sushi Room. It's a special place that like I said, I'm in booth 3 here, probably 3 or 4 nights a week, and and it actually, it's sort of made me prouder that we had to come from losing money to losing a little bit, to losing only a tiny bit, to breaking even, to making money. It made the journey worth it.
Amazing. Okay, so this is your favourite restaurant?
No. I don't have a favourite. This is one I eat at the most. Helenika's my baby.
Okay.
Sunshine I eat lunch at. And SK's the big dining.
Okay, so you eat here the most. What is the dish that you most recommend for everyone to come try?
Well, there's the one that everyone comes here for is this spicy tuna crispy rice, which is quite, it's like the zucchini chips at Helenika or whatever. But I'm a traditionalist, so I love all the nigiri, and that's why we've got a team of 7 Japanese chefs, proper sushi chefs, not some guy who's learnt in around the corner and decided to come and do some sushi. Proper sushi chefs that know exactly what they're doing. The temperature of the rice is perfect, and nigiri is when I think of quality Japanese sushi, that's what it is to me. We've got the rolls, and we've got some a couple of steaks on the menu and a few things, but what takes centre place at Sushi Room is the sushi.
Online reviews can make or break a business's reputation. What's your thoughts around this?
So I don't read them at all.
Amazing.
So I think it's one of those things where I used to read them all the time. I used to get paranoid by them. And about 10 years ago, I remember sitting in the lounge room with my dad, and he goes, "Mate, what are you worried about?" He goes, "More people don't like your restaurant than you think." And I went, "Fuck, what?" Like, what are you saying? And he goes, "Are you full for the next 10 years every day?" And I went, "No." And he goes, "So not everyone likes it. Shut the fuck up and get over it." And I went, "Oh my God, he's right. Like, I'm not here for everyone, you know." And actually, what's funny, the better my restaurants have been over the years, the worse my reviews have been.
Yeah.
So it doesn't correlate. And so I just don't read them at all. And, you know, I feel like it's a little bit of... I've spoken to a few restaurateurs about this that I hopefully been able to help, because I don't think the customer knows how stressful it is. You're talking about, you write a review when you go home. You've had a few drinks here at the restaurant. You write a review saying, I don't know, it wasn't blah, blah, blah. But what are you actually wanting to happen? The restaurant to go broke? Why is the bad review there? Are you saying, don't go there, they should go broke? If you're not saying that, maybe don't write it, or think twice, or do it in the morning when you haven't had a drink. But that's why I don't read it, because it doesn't actually mean anything. It hasn't changed my business at all, and I haven't read them for, I'm not lying, 10 years. The only ones that I'll read is a professional review. And it's more just to see, did they understand what we were doing? How did they see the venue? And how are they putting that out to their readers? But it's not, I know what I want. I know what we do, and I know the level we're at. And if for instance, we have complaints about one staff member constantly or whatever it is, we know that. The staff tell us, it's feedback here. We don't need Jack Smith, who's been here once, who came on that's the other thing. Right here, right now, we could be having the world's best dinner. Next door, they could be saying, "You've ruined my fucking birthday, I'm never coming back." You know what I mean? So, like, you can't, that's probably not true, and that's probably not true. So, unless you're there and around and you've got a feel for the business, it doesn't matter anyway, so I just don't read them. And I think I hope that might help a couple of restaurateurs out there or whatever, just take that weight off you, because I know how stressful it is. And if you know that it doesn't mean it, it does nothing. It genuinely does nothing to my business. The better my restaurants are, the worse reviews are. And so I just don't read them at all.
I hope everyone watching that really takes on that feedback, because I obviously know how stressful it is. I've moved on it, but everyone has so many sleepless nights over such little things. So hopefully everyone can take that input in. Drugs can be challenging in the hospitality industry. I know the industry has changed a lot over the last decade, but can you tell me how you handle that and your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm a big one on this. So I actually might be the right or the wrong person to speak about it. I've never done drugs. So my thing is, I smoke too many cigars, and I love wine. Maybe too much, so there you go. Maybe that's a problem. But drugs, because we deal with most of our staff are, between, say, 16 and 30, right? So it's that's that time when they're going to be growing, experimenting, doing things, going out, breaking up with partners, having mental illness. All these things happen in that time. So, I just think, I'm not talking about someone smoking a little bit of pot once a week or having some gummies, whatever everyone's doing these days. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about doing hard drugs. And people who say, "Oh, but I can handle it," or "It doesn't matter, I'm just young having fun," I don't believe that. I think it's bullshit, because I see the staff, they have their day off. They don't know what to do because they're used to working. And I will say, it's not just front of house, it's back of house, it's everywhere. They'll have a day off, they'll finish work on a Sunday, they'll have 2 days off. They'll go party on the Sunday, half of Monday probably, maybe through Monday. Tuesday, recovering. And then the mental illness kicks in on the Wednesday when they come back to work, and they're a fucking mess.
Yeah.
And they can't hold their shit together. They start crying for no reason. It's a real problem. Forget the health side of things, whatever. Mental illness is a big one for me. I've seen people go through it too much to sort of, and I think they really are correlated, especially in hospitality. Like I said, we're the ones hiring most of the kids between 15 and 30, That's sort of, I take that responsibility seriously. A lot of parents have sent their kids to work for me because they know I have this stance, and I just don't think there's enough emphasis on that. We're asking 22-year-old, 23, 24, 25-year-old kids who really don't have any experience to be a manager, to run other kids, and then wonder when it fucks up what went wrong or whatever. If those guys are partying, then they're partying together, and this is not. It's not once a year at a staff party either that I'm talking about. This is a lot of people. Let's be real in the world here. Yeah. This is constant. Yeah. Our customers are doing it. Our staff are doing it, whatever. And I just try and minimise that as much as I can because I don't believe that people can manage it. I've just seen it too many times. I don't believe whatever the bullshit people tell me, I'm just not a believer. So
can I ask how you do minimise it?
Yeah, well, by leading by example.
Yep.
We've got a very strict policy. I found someone at SK doing it, and I just walked up and told them to get out.
Yep.
Okay? And I don't care if they try and sue me, I don't give a shit. You cannot be, he was giving drugs to another staff member. Yeah. I mean, fuck that. Yeah. Who do you think you are giving drugs to another staff member? Under my care, their parents have it's just, I don't like it. Yep. I'm against it. So everyone knows that, and I think that they obviously still do it. Everyone does it, right? Yeah. That's not the thing, but it minimises. Yeah. And because I don't sit there with customers partying, doing cocaine or whatever it is, it doesn't give license to. It makes sure that none of my team have license to go. Well, I can do it. Yeah. So I try and lead by example there, and but it's a real problem, and if you can't tell, I'm 100% against it. So.
Your restaurant group is St. Albans.
Yep.
I said it right?
Yeah, it's St. Albans, yep.
Why did you name it that? Also, what's next for the restaurant group?
Yeah, so St. Albans, for those that know the suburb in Melbourne, it's where I was born, St. Albans. Amazing. And I actually wanted to name a venue after it years ago. I wanted to open up a pizza shop and call it St. Albans Pizza. But anyway, so I named the company that, and that's where that comes from. What's next for me? I'm going to grow, but my goal is not to be the world's biggest restaurateur. That's not my thing. I want to do things that are interesting to me, and slowly and measured, and just when it's right. So, if I end up having the 4 venues that I've got now, great. If I end up with 10, great. Whatever it is, but it'll be measured, and it's got to be interesting to me because I do all the menus in the restaurants. The food is so important to me. I feel like I'm a little bit of a film director or whatever. You try and build what you want to build.
Curate.
Curate, yeah. Exactly, and that's what I enjoy doing. So, if it's exciting and interesting, and I've got the urge to do it, then we'll do it.
If you could sit down with 14-year-old Simon back at the Rockley Markets, what advice would you give him?
Don't do hospitality. No, just get your shit together. Learn the industry. No, definitely not. Learn the industry properly.
Yep.
Back of house is so important.
Amazing. After all these years in hospitalities, what still makes you excited every day?
The food.
Food?
Food and people, and putting it on the table, letting them eat it. Food.
If the industry could learn one lesson from you, what would it be?
I think I like to do things properly, and I just don't cut corners, ever.
Amazing.
It's a bit annoying, but I just never cut corners.
Okay. And out of all your venues, your favourite dish?
My favourite dish at all my venues is the Corfu Bianco, which is can be red emperor or coral trout with beautiful lemon olive oil potatoes at Helenika.
Amazing.
And that's everything on a plate that I love, and it's like a big hug and a kiss when I need it.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. You are absolutely amazing, and I feel honoured to have your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Woohoo!